make this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
All right, welcome into Greenie Sports Cards Live, the world's first multi-stream broadcast for the hobby industry, presented by Collectibles on SI in support by Sports Cards Nonsense. Thank you for joining us, as many of you have week over week since Greenie and I started this little enterprise well over a year and a half ago. And our little engine here just continues to grow and grow, and we appreciate you joining us and all the participants that have joined us over the last 18 months. And tonight is no exception. We have a really, really, really cool show for you tonight. We have a guest that we've been after for a long time that we can't wait to talk to a little bit later in the program. If you have not joined us before, let us set the stage a little bit how this works here on Greenie Sports Cards Live. We air every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. We go live across multiple streams, and that might be YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or the old Twitter, X, LinkedIn, and a couple other points in between. You can comment on the show. We encourage that. Let us know where you're watching. If you have a question for us or any of our guests, participate. This is an interactive show. So for the first hour, Greenie and I go live 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. We have hobby news. We'll be bringing in Joe Wysmierski, our resident expert from Phoenix Card Shop, in a little bit to talk about some exciting news and views and get his perspective on product releases and all kinds of cool things happening in the hobby industry. And then at some point beyond that, we welcome in our guests. And sometimes we have a couple, sometimes we have hobby shop purveyors, we have industry influencers, we have coaches, we have athletes, we have entertainers. We've been very fortunate to talk to some really interesting people along the way. So you can join us for that first hour. And then at 9 o'clock Eastern, our resident auctioneer and expert extraordinaire, Alex Schacht, goes live with our trading card auction portion of the program. And you'll want to join him on eBay Live. You can see what Alex is doing on multiple streams, just as you can see this program. But the real action takes place on eBay Live, where Alex hosts an auction every Tuesday at 9 and then at Thursday at 9 p.m. as well. And he has plenty of cards and trading cards, memorabilia at the ready. He has basketball and baseball and football and hockey, and sometimes he has soccer and wrestling and MMA. And you can join in on that action and participate in the auctions themselves. Every one of those starts at $2. And you just drive up the competition depending on the cards you want. And then unlimited shipping is unlocked at $4.99. So if you win one auction or 100 auctions, you're going to get that $4.99 guaranteed shipping. So make sure you check that out. If you're interested in collectibles and the collectible industry, you've got the live action there. Greenie Sports Cards is presented now by Collectibles on SI. If you want to master the world of sports cards collecting, Hobby 101 from Collectibles on SI is your go-to resource for expert insights, market trends, and the stories behind the most coveted cards. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, Collectibles on SI helps you navigate the hobby with confidence, explore the latest articles, and unlock the secrets of collecting at si.com/collectibles, part of the Sports Illustrated family. Find it on SI. And Greenie and I couldn't be prouder to be affiliated with Sports Illustrated, constantly reminding us of the nostalgia of our youth and getting that Sports Illustrated magazine week over week. So we appreciate Collectibles on SI coming on as our presenting sponsor. And we are supported by Sports Cards Nonsense. You will learn more about them, if you don't already know, well throughout this program and beyond. So we appreciate you joining us. Again, we're going to have hobby news with Joe coming up. We're going to bring in Greenie, and we're going to welcome our special guest this evening, Chris McNeil, aka Reflog_18. And many of you are really familiar with his work. Some of you may not realize how familiar you are with his work, but Chris, aka Reflog, has been dubbed America's least favorite, or least popular commentator, least popular sports commentator. I believe that was Wendy's that bestowed that upon him. But Chris is full of satire and parody and irreverent humor. And in the Northeast Ohio area, we just love and appreciate his content creation and what he brings to the table. So we're going to get to talk to Chris about parades such as the 0-16 parade that he launched a few years ago in that illustrious Cleveland Browns season, the Cavs parade, which he has an interesting tie to. We're going to talk about mastering the memes and the art of all of that. And then the most special thing that we're a part of at this point is the Muni Lot Kids. And this thing has really taken off, and a portion of the proceeds benefit the Greater Cleveland Food Bank. So very, very cool stuff to update you on that. So thank you for being with us. Right now, let's go ahead and welcome in the man himself who makes all of this possible for all of us, Steve Greenberg, Greenie Sports Cards. Welcome once again to your show, Greenie.
Jeremy, again, thank you very much for having me. We have a programming update, though, that I need to tell people. For some reason, I cannot get Instagram to work. So Phoenix Sports Cards, you can go there and watch live on Instagram. Although if you're hearing what I'm saying, you're watching live anyway. But
yeah,
that being said, you can go to PHX Sports Cards on Instagram. For some reason, I don't know. Technology is failing me today. But either way, we have plenty of other options. And like you said before. So no, we can't be happier. The Collectibles on SI and the Sports Cards Nonsense is terrific. There's a few things that I really love about the Collectibles on SI. It's the articles. And we had an article written for us by Kyle Rossi earlier this year about our NIL trading cards. So we're going to get that up on there. And I'm hopefully going to talk to Kyle about getting some more articles and Collectibles on SI and in relation to the games that he covers, the NIL aspect of those games. So it could be some really neat content on Collectibles on SI.
Yeah, for sure. If you like long form content, if you want to check out that Hobby 101, which is a really tremendous resource for learning more about the hobby. If you want to stay up to date, check out Collectibles SI. And if you want to participate in some real collectibles nonsense on the socials, jump over to Sports Cards Nonsense. So we appreciate those partnerships. Greenie, the train doesn't stop for you. We've talked about the Mountain State Collectors Convention, which was an unbelievable experience a couple weeks back in Charleston as a part of that launch. And then things just continued on this past weekend, the Medina County Collectors Fair. Talk about that experience. This is really the third iteration of it, the second year. Talk about how it's grown and the response this weekend, which was just really amazing.
Yeah, it was. It was terrific. This is the show that we say is where sports cards and pop culture collide. And that's exactly what happens. We had a huge display of comic books. We had a bunch of Pokemon, obviously, and sports cards. And there were Funko Pops. There was art. There was 3D printing. There was face painting. There was a booth with kind of like trinkets of Pokemon and people that are creating artwork out of them. So, yeah, I mean, it was terrific. There was, I don't know, close to 1,500 people that showed up this weekend, Jeremy. It was absolutely unbelievable. Flight Productions, Justin does an unbelievable job with this drone coverage, and he was able to make it out and pretty much capture the room. It's interesting, that shot right there is a lower ceiling, and he was able to navigate that drone through. But yeah, I mean, it was cool. Our friend Kenny Rhoda was out from Canton, WHBC. Daryl Ryder was out, the voice of Greenie Sports Cards. Coach Senderhoff was set up on Friday night with basketball, all sorts of sports cards, actually. And I tell you what was really interesting. And somebody came up and showed me a card. It was a Bowman University. It was a player. It was on Duke. And I asked the kid, I said, is this guy any good? And I was like, wait a minute. And I turned over and I said, hey, Rob, is this guy any good? And he was like, yeah, he's really good. Yeah. So it was, I had my own eBay right next to me for a little bit. Ultimately, I didn't buy the card, but the point was he was able to tell me if that guy was pretty good.
Yeah, it was very cool. John Doss, sports director from Channel 5, the ABC affiliate, who we've had on, was out as well. And the energy in the room, Greenie, we talk about this all the time. When you work on these events and you put your heart and soul into it, as the Greenie team does, it's kind of like throwing a party, and you invite the world and you hope people are going to show up, but you never really know until it happens. And I recall walking up with my daughter on Saturday. She collects Pokemon and plays in that world that I don't understand. But the parking lot was full, and walking up, there was a visceral buzz and energy in the room. You could feel it, and it was crowded but not uncomfortable. And you could see every table dealers were having conversations, and it's an amazing feeling. That it part relief, part excitement, part proud for the team that puts all in this work. That's the result. And yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, listen, everybody plays a part in it. The advertising side that you did, the floor plan. I mean, everything was well done. It was well attended, and the reception was terrific. My parents greeted everybody that came through the door on Saturday, and Sigmund served coffee. The food truck out back was terrific. So it was a first class show, and we can't wait to do another one. And we will actually, September 26th through the 28th, I believe. Don't quote those dates, but check the website, greeniesportscards.com. But that'll be a 3-day extravaganza with Operation Fandom, and we have some kind of things up our sleeve that we're looking to roll out for that show.
Yeah, the really cool part about that is the Medina County Collectors Fair Fall Edition is really the big event. This was kind of an appetizer, just another event to bring sports and pop culture together. But the focus on the extracurricular stuff is really towards the fall, and just to know that a card show with 175, almost 180 tables of not just sports cards, but collectibles and TCG and the 3D printing, as you mentioned, that there were 3 or 4 vendors that had some really cool stuff that they're making on their own. To see that type of show thrive in May, it portends to really good things this summer and beyond.
Yeah, no question. And that's just another one of the events that we have in our pocket that we can roll out. And it's just something different, because that's kind of what we strive for here.
Very cool. So, yeah, speaking of different, we've got some different cats on tonight. We're looking forward to talking to McNeil here a little bit later. And now it's actually time for Hobby News with Joe Wysmierski. Hobby News is actually powered by Cut the Nonsense, the new weekly show, the weekly collectibles broadcast with hobby insiders Danny Black, Mike Giuseppe, and Joe Wysmierski. Episodes of Cut the Nonsense are available on YouTube every Wednesday. And speaking of Joe, he's our resident expert here, who we will welcome in tonight and say hello, Joe.
Hello, gentlemen. Thanks for having me again. I thought you guys would have higher energy with the Detroit Tigers leading all of Major League Baseball with the best record in baseball, and clearly just hammering their central opponents right now, with the exception of 3 out of 4 days against the Guardians. But we don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, Joe, but in Cleveland, we're not Detroit.
I figured.
Little callback to Mike Polk for you.
You know, well, being from the state that's north of you guys, you got to have little brothers too. So, and we'll embrace that this season. And again, we're trying to restore the roar of '84. So that's where we're going to be heading this year. So, and just let me have my moment, guys. You guys have had your moment of getting to the pinnacle and not being able to finish, but you had.
I think Lane Thomas was his name.
Yeah,
might have been David Fry, one of the two. Either way.
All right, Joe. Let's cut the nonsense. Talk about that first and foremost as the lead into hobby news, and then I'll let you guys have at it. Talking about stuff I have no clue about.
You know, we are 3 guys within the hobby that are going to have a platform where we can share our thoughts and opinions. And, you know, Danny's going to do a great job of trying to unpack. Mike and myself are pretty good and pretty creative with our opinions. So we'll definitely be giving some insight on sports, on the hobby and collecting, just on sports world news, parenting. It could go anywhere, but the real focus is cutting through the nonsense of what is going on in the world currently. So, and just putting our own little twist on things. So being creative with it.
Yeah, we can't wait for the first episode to be cut the nonsense. That'll happen next week, and Haley will be producing that show as well. So that's another tie and everything that we have moving forward between the Sports Cards Nonsense, Cut the Nonsense, the Greenie Sports Cards Live, and Collectibles on SI, and we are well on our way somewhere, Jeremy.
Summer is going to be packed. A lot of good stuff to come. It's essentially the launch of the Sports Cards Nonsense Network. So SCNN, Nonsense News, right? So we'll have that. But, you know, the exciting thing to really discuss right now on Greenie Sports Cards Live here is this week in the hobby. It is a slow week, but we have a huge release. 23-24, the Cup hockey. So we know we're in championship season right now. We have a Canadian team vying for the first championship in a long time in the Edmonton Oilers, with arguably one of the best lineups in all of hockey, but clearly one of the best players currently with Connor McDavid. And then we have the defending champions, the Florida Panthers, who are, I mean, they grind people to a pulp out there, and then they just find ways to win. And when they win, they're convinced. So it's exciting to have the Stanley Cup Finals, which is probably, next to playoff baseball, some of the highest anxiety you'll have as a sports fan, whether you like hockey or not, knowing that every single goal, because it seems to always be a 1 or 2 goal lead, you're just hanging on bated breath to constantly see the action in hockey. So to be able to have the Cup released during this week, it's huge. Now, this is 23-24, so this is Connor McDavid's rookie year. So, no, excuse me. Yeah, it is Connor McDavid's, excuse me. So it is a huge, huge release. This is a very expensive product. It could be anywhere from $900 to, as you can see there, over $1,000. And it comes very, very bundled tight from Upper Deck. But they are super thick cards. You're looking for exquisite patch autos in this product, and it is the most gorgeous product that they have across the board. Highly anticipated every year, and it just gets that much better because this is Connor McDavid's Cup release. Or excuse me, not Connor Bedard.
Connor Bedard, that's right. Connor McDavid, though, is in the finals.
He is in the finals, yeah. And he's trying to bring it home for Canada, for sure. So, Greenie, have you had experience with the Cup products in the past?
Negative. Not a one. Never have I ever opened the cup. Have I bought the cup cards? Sure. Yeah, I have. But
So-
never have I opened any.
And in buying the cup cards, they come with a premium, right?
They do, and they're thick. I mean, those are some big cards. They tough for grading, but very cool for eye appeal. And the patches are terrific. And I think most, if not all, the autographs are on card.
Absolutely. And they're just gorgeous. They're absolutely gorgeous. If you can get an exquisite patch auto, that's what you're shooting for in this product. So it's a great product, and it definitely deserves its week. So there really is not a lot of products that come out this week. The only other product is going to be Select Soccer FIFA, which, if anyone knows what's going on with soccer right now, there's quite a few things. There's the Gold Cup, which is going to be North America, South America, and we have a semifinal here in Phoenix, which is huge. But also the Club World Cup is going on right now. They just first preliminary play-in game. This happened this past Saturday. LAFC beat Club America, which is one of the biggest clubs in all of Mexico. And that was to have the right to play Chelsea. So it's all of the top teams and all of the different Champions League, all the other, like MLS. They're all playing in a World Cup format. So like a 4-team table, and then they'll move on to like a round of 16 and then go from there.
Aside from the guys, Messi, Neymar, Ronaldo, Mbappe, who else? Who are we looking for? Or is that it?
So big rookie. There's a couple of guys that it's very debatable. So Endrick, who is a Brazilian national who plays for Real Madrid. He's considered a rookie in some of these products, but it is not.
This guy, here's a name, Levine, right? I know that one.
So that's a huge guy. Lamine Yamal.
Yeah.
Just turned. He's 17. Last year he had his national debut at the age of 16. He's an absolute phenom. He plays for Barcelona. Barcelona is not in the Club World Cup. They were trying to make exceptions for players like this, that they could go and be a free agent on another team just for the Club World Cup. But it was really tough for a lot of these teams to let that go. But he's the next guy. He's a Spanish national, and at 17 years old, the world is his oyster. He is one of those guys who was brought up through Barcelona's entire feeder program. So when he was 3 and 4 years old, all the way to where he is now.
Okay, well, let's hope he's as good as advertised.
Yeah. Oh, he's an absolute. So think about this, Greenie. Because this mentality translates to all sports. But could you imagine a 16 going on 17-year-old walking out onto the football field to play against grown men in their mid-20s? Because these are seasoned vets in professional soccer. Yes, they've been doing it a while, but your body type is just completely different. And to be able to play at that level in any professional sport is insane. It's absolutely
yeah, no question. Yeah, inarguable.
I mean, think about it. Big news in sports this week too. In the past day, Jack Caglione. I mean, ascending from last summer in Bowman draft to being his first Bowman to now he's going to be the DH and batting 6th tonight against the Cardinals. That's huge.
We bought a Bowman Chrome Gold autograph this weekend. 2025, not a first, but still, yeah.
That's not a bad.
No. I'd like him to hit 3 home runs tonight.
Yeah, you were encouraged by that news today.
Yeah, I'd like the Royals to lose, but I'd like him to hit 3 home runs.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's really what's going on this week. A ton of sporting news. Also, Tom Thibodeau being fired today. Crazy.
Hang on. Sports are sports. I mean, yeah. I don't get it. Well, make it to the finals, I guess. Win.
Greenie, their best record and best in 25 years.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, we talk about consistency. So the Diamondbacks too have had like one of the worst teams. Like they had, I think it was like 2018 to 2021. We've had the same manager since 2017, Torey Lovullo. Like, you just create consistency, and I mean that's not rewarded anymore, I guess.
Yeah. Speaking of Diamondbacks, we need to get the owner on sometime. See if you can make that happen. We can talk about his card collection.
I'll look.
Call your people. Call your people. See if you can get him on.
I'll look at my Rolodex.
Carl. Joe, thanks. Appreciate it.
Hey, Joe, before we let you go, my standing question for you, what's the most interesting thing that walked into the shop this week?
Ray, he was out of town.
Yeah, he's definitely interesting. We had a James Wood First Bowman Gold Auto that walked in today.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Very fun. Yeah.
He's doing well. Actually, you know what? Let me take that back. We actually had one better. How about this? How about a program with the score being kept of Jackie Robinson's last game?
Wow. That's interesting.
That's
the cool thing about Phoenix is nobody is from Phoenix, and they move from other places, and they bring their cool stuff with them.
Hank Aaron was on the scorecard too.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
That guy was pretty good, I hear.
He could swing the bat.
Yeah.
All right, Joe, we appreciate you joining us every week. Can't wait to see the new show, Cut the Nonsense, with you, Danny, and Mike getting going next week. And make sure you follow these guys on Sports Cards Nonsense on the socials.
Check us out, Phoenix Sports Cards, 59th and Thunderbird, Glendale, Arizona.
All right, Joe.
There you go.
Very cool. There you go, Greenie.
Yeah. Cool stuff. Slow week in cards, but that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But, you know, here in Cleveland, as we've said, the sports talk is the gift that keeps on giving. There's never seemingly a shortage of things to talk about or new storylines, whether it's the Guardians or former Indians, Browns, Cavaliers. There's always something in this town, and we're very fortunate to kind of be at the hub of the conversation and kind of see what's going on in this town. So our thanks to Joe and Sports Cards Nonsense. And tonight's special guest segment is brought to us by supported by Sports Cards Nonsense. Hosts Mike Gioseffi and Jesse Gibson break down hot releases, smart investments, and everything collectors need to know on a new podcast that airs weekly. And those drop every Monday and Thursday. Tune in and stay ahead of the collectibles game with Sports Cards Nonsense. Greenie, we're very excited tonight to welcome in our special guest, somebody that we've long thought about wanting to have on, and hoping we could land just to get his perspective on things. We get to hear Chris McNeil talk about sports through the Big Play Cleveland show as part of the Big Play Network, and you get to hear him talk along with Gab and Nick and their show, and you get to see him on the socials, on the Twitter and the X. But really excited tonight to get to talk to Chris a little bit about what it's like to produce that stuff, and the evolution of the show and the Big Play Network, and of course the Muni Lot Kids. And we'll get into some parade talk, the Browns and the Cavs, and all kinds of other nonsense. Speaking of Sports Cards Nonsense, so. Without further ado, let's go ahead and welcome in Chris McNeil from the Big Play Network, aka Reflog_18. Chris, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Greenie, Jeremy, thank you for having me. I really appreciate this on beautiful day in Northeast Ohio too, by the way, today. I mean, it was like the first day of a long time that we've had decent weather out there. And you know how I spent it? I was out today
Golfing,
at Firestone. Firestone playing golf. How about that?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, it felt good to get out there. I have the shanks right now, gentlemen, which is not very much fun, especially when I'm playing out there with a bunch of media types. And it's kind of embarrassing to have the shanks, but that's kind of where my game's at right now. I don't play as much as I used to, unfortunately. So I got to kind of take, what I have and go to the course with it. So unfortunately, I was riding with Jimmy Hanlon, and obviously a golf pro, really knows his stuff. And I kind of embarrassed myself a little bit, but nonetheless, it was a beautiful day out there at Firestone. Right. Just fantastic. Sun was out, so I can't complain whenever we get a day like that in Northeast Ohio.
There is never a bad day on the golf course.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Right? Nothing like a seasoned pro, a PGA pro there with you to witness that.
Well, they say, of course, for those who haven't pieced it together, reflog is golfer backwards. Reflog right. 18. The worst day on the golf course is still better than the best day at the office. So
maybe I should change it to like NAS, which is shank backwards, right? Something like that. I don't know. Cass. I don't know how to pronounce it exactly, but I don't know. If I keep playing like this, that may be in the cards.
Speaking of in the cards, Joe didn't know about the big release that we'll get into, the Muni Lot Kids. So that is something that we look forward to talking to here shortly.
Yeah. How much fun is that? That was really cool, kind of putting it together and seeing the evolution of something that was just a dumb idea of mine that I had a couple of years ago. And I ran it by a couple of artists and they didn't have much interest in it. And eventually now with AI and everything else, I was able to bring those to fruition. And it's funny because you have the Browns, which are just such a beacon, right? For just interesting personalities, and our fan base is just littered with them. So it was ripe for me to come in and kind of not lampoon, but just kind of enjoy, our fandom and the individuals that are in our fandom. And what makes us so unique in Cleveland is all of these characters that people know, and to immortalize them this way in these Muni Lot Kids was a lot of fun. It's been cool. You guys have done a fantastic job of bringing them to an actual card form where you see it go from the computer screen to an actual card. And that's just amazing to me and just a fantastic job from everybody all the way around. But really cool stuff. It
really is amazing to the difference of a digital card and actually touching them. And once these get into the people's hands, and I know people have been asking, and we get some emails that the pre-sale just ended. Yeah. The printer has them. They will be in the mail to customers within the next week. So when these people get them, it's going to be cool. And not that X hasn't blown up before with these, they really are going to take it to the next level.
Yeah, and people are loving them. I'll tell you, I've gotten so many requests, and now people are doing personal requests. Like they're offended that they didn't make the original cut for this release. So I've already got a list started for the next release when that should happen. So yeah, people are pretty geeked about it. And it's also cool that we're giving back with this. A portion of the proceeds do go to the Cleveland Food Bank. Somebody I've supported before. I know with all the cuts that have been made here lately, they're really hurting over there. So in our small way, we're giving back. And I think that's really captures our fandom too. We have so much fun with the fact that, our team stinks, right? But somehow out of that crappy team, we're able to make so much good come out of it as a fan base. And, this in a little way is just a little bit more of that karma.
I'm glad you touched on that, Chris, because I did some math today and we're still working through the final numbers, but we've sold sets and there's still a few available. But as of right now, the count is about 9,500 meals that have been generated for the Greater Cleveland Food Bank. And we would love to get that certainly over 10,000. And so as you referenced, a portion of the proceeds of each one of these sets is going to the Greater Cleveland Food Bank. And it's such a worthwhile cause, helping to feed families, feed kids. So, the shameless plug here is go to greeniecards.com, search the McNeil's Muni Lot Kids custom set. You won't have to look far. They're right there on the homepage. And a portion of every one of those sets is going to go support the food bank and help us get over those 10,000 meals.
And there you see some of them as you're scrolling, you go from, the Joe Flacco is backo, the Macho fan, to Jimmy Donovan that's on there. And that was interesting because his daughter had reached out to me and said, "Hey, would you mind making one?" And I've never Of all the memes that I've ever made and all the pictures that I've ever made, that was the hardest one to get that one right. Right. Because he means so much to Cleveland. He means so much to me, to all the listeners, to everybody. To get that one right really meant a lot to me. And I was really nervous trying to put that out and have it come out right, because most of these are, tongue in cheek. And with him, I wanted to make sure that it really honored the man too. And she was really happy with the way it turned out, was really excited about it. So that in turn made me very happy, because like I said, I was very nervous putting that one together.
Yeah, that one's awesome.
Yeah.
It's terrific. And obviously the voice of the Browns and Channel 3, he is an icon here in Cleveland. And what a terrific way to celebrate Jim Donovan.
So Chris, let's take it back. That's what's happening this week. Those sets are going to get shipped out. Let's take it back a little bit. Before the Big Play Network that's evolved, and you've got the weekly show with, as we said, with Gab and Nick and the whole network, which is a pretty phenomenal evolution from maybe overcharacterized from Dave's basement or garage into the one of the leading networks in the country now. Let's go back. Where did this fascination with sports start, and then the culmination of social media? When did this really start getting going for you as what might have been a hobby, but now it's become a passion for you to be a part of the social networks?
Well, you want to go all the way back. So my love of Cleveland sports, I come by it honestly. Sports are really passed down on the father's side in the McNeil family. So my dad is from Northeast Ohio. My grandfather grew up in Northeast Ohio. And so we are long time. Our roots are very deep there. And so from a very early age, I was at the stadium. My parents have had season tickets for the Browns since the 80s. So my very first Cleveland Browns game, believe it or not, that I was at was the Jets-Gastineau game, where they hit Bernie Kosar late, and the Browns just improbably came back to win that ball game. And I was 7 years old at that time. And I remember thinking, as I was exiting Old Municipal Stadium, everybody's yelling, everybody's drunk, having a good old time. I'm like, this is amazing. It's like this every year. Like, oh man. Now, as I look back, man, the innocence of youth, right? Had no idea. And I'd watch TV and I'd watch these other teams like the Patriots, the Saints, teams like that, the Colts. And I'd be like, man, how does this fan base even follow these teams? They're never any good. I mean, the Browns, we're a good team. We're playing John Elway in Denver. It's them and us basically for the AFC every year. This is fantastic. I don't know how other fan bases can even make it. And it's just the way life is, right? We all know how everything has turned out since that time. Not only did the team leave us, the team that came back hasn't been very good. And of course, we famously went 0-16. I mean, it hasn't been a lot of good times being a Browns fan over the years, but we're still there, right? And for me, sports, and really not only the Browns, also the Indians, now Guardians, the Cavs, Ohio State, it's not only sports, but it's also family. As my family is just as passionate as I am about all those sports. And, it seems like when I think back over the years and you think about the times our family is together, it's always around sports. It's around Cleveland sports. It's kind of ironic I say that now. I was up there visiting my grandpa, 95 years old, by the way, still plays golf nearly every day. How about that? Visiting him last night, and we were sitting there on his back deck, a beautiful night and everything else. He's got a TV out there. Well, we had no baseball on because the Guardians weren't playing. They were off last night. So we had to flip over. We eventually went over to the Brewers game against the Reds. Actually, Aaron Savali was pitching, which was kind of interesting there. But it always evolves around sports for us. So I come by very honestly, and really over the years, I've developed just kind of a voice. And once again, I come by naturally, which is, I'm very sarcastic when it comes to the teams because you almost got to be. You either laugh or you cry. You guys know. Either laugh or you cry as a Cleveland fan. I choose to laugh because otherwise I'd just be bawling all the time, right? And so I took that to Twitter, and I guess that really caught and captured a lot of the spirit of the fandom of our fan base, because I think a lot of people share that sentiment. They either laugh or you cry, and you got to laugh. And a lot of people do laugh along with me. And then when we went 0-16, you bottom out at some point, right? Came up with the idea the year before because we actually had some success in Cleveland, right? We had the Cavs in 2016. Never forget that. Win the chip. We had the Indians going to the World Series. Let's not talk about rain delays, right? Not talk about Cubs. And then we had the Browns. And we had just gone through having a fantastic parade for the Cavs. And I sarcastically put out there after a few games, hey, this Browns team deserves a parade. And, people are kind of laughing because at that time we were like 0-4 or something. As that season progressed and we continued to lose, there was a guy by the name of Vince Guerrieri, a great writer out of Youngstown, wrote a great book, Weird Moments in Cleveland Sports. Pick that up, check that one out. That's really good. But he sent me this paperwork from the city of Cleveland that for $25 and this application, you could have a parade. And I thought, well, for $25, this would be a lot of fun. Let's just give it a try. Never thinking they would actually go 0-16. Now, if you remember that season, they didn't go 0-16. We beat the Chargers on Christmas Eve, right? So we went 1-15. Now, by that time, I had raised a lot of money for this parade. And thanks to Dan Lebitard down there, he really liked the parade idea. And if you'll recall at that time, Tony Rizzo, who's a local radio talker there from ESPN Cleveland, really didn't like it. And he went very publicly and said that he would mow down anybody who was thinking of attending this thing. Well, Dan Lebitard picked up on that, picked up on our GoFundMe and started promoting it on his show. So I went to like over $10,000 in like 5 minutes. So we ended up with plenty of money. And then when the Browns improbably ended up winning on Christmas Eve, beating the Chargers, I took all that money and we donated to the Cleveland Food Bank. And I thought, gentlemen, I was like, this is like a movie. I don't have to put on this parade, right? And we donate all this money. This is to the food bank. This is great. This is Christmas, right? So I thought that puts a bow on it. We'll never gonna have to talk about this thing again. The following season, everyone knows the Browns did go 0-16. Once again, went through the exact same thing, raised all the money. This time, we did end up having the parade. Very tongue-in-cheek, very cathartic for anybody who was there. The Browns, we don't get a chance to celebrate, right? Everybody else has the playoffs or, really we have the draft and that's it, to be honest with you. And for that day, it was very cathartic. People showed up, and the things that they tailgate with, whether it's their motor homes or whatever else. We had bands there. We had performers. There was a morning show that came out to it. Big Bus was out there. So Rover's Morning Glory, he kind of led out the whole thing. So it ended up being a huge event, over 3,000 people or so. And everybody had a great time. Everybody was down there boozing and everything else, going around the stadium, making a big old zero right around that stadium. And it ended up being a lot of fun. We also collected canned food there, so made a nice donation. We had some extra funds we also donated there. So once again, it ended up being a really nice thing. It ended up being a cathartic thing and something that people talk to me all the time, like, I was there. I was at the parade. And it's pretty wild to hear people talk about it like it was this, championship parade or something that is a badge of honor, right? They like it's the Cavs parade, but they were here at the 0-16 parade where it was cold as hell for anybody who was there. But it ended up being a whole lot of fun. And since that time, my buddy Dave reached out to me and said, hey, you want to do a show? And it was basically out of his garage. And we started doing a post-game show for the Browns. So we get drunk callers calling in after the game. And it was a lot of fun, kind of messing with them messing with us just, doing what we do and just laughing about the Browns, crying a little bit. And it picked up a little bit of steam. And then all of a sudden we started producing a weekly show. We started getting real guests on the show. It started to get a little bit of momentum. And then eventually I got a call from Dave, and Dave said, hey, I'm in my studio here in the garage. He goes, you won't believe who just showed up. I said, I don't know who. He goes, Bernie Kosar. I said, Bernie Kosar is in your driveway right now? He goes, yeah, he wants to do a show. And he goes, wait, there's somebody else getting out. He goes, there's another car here. That's Hanford Dixon. Hanford Dixon wants to do a show too. Both of those guys want to do a show with us. So that day he put on the show, and that really caught the imagination of us that like, hey, now we can start producing these shows, and we could do it for all the sports. You know, people around here are so passionate for their sports. I don't need to tell you guys that. And really throughout Ohio. And we thought, boy, it would be really neat to cover sports a little bit differently than what everybody else is doing. You know, we're not radio. We weren't TV at that time. And maybe there's a way through social media that we can really grow a little media empire of our own out here. So now as we sit, we've got over 15 shows, some of them seasonal, but 15 shows. We go all the way from Cincinnati has a show. We've got a show, the Bobby Carpenter show out of Columbus. We've got a show for all our local teams. We've got a high school show. So it just kind of continues to grow over there. We're on the FanDuel network. So catch my show. You can catch that all throughout the week, the Big Play Cleveland show, and some of our other great shows that are on there right now. Carlos Baerga just started up a new show with us about a month ago. So we continue to evolve. We continue to add more media and more shows on there. So stay tuned. And like I mentioned earlier, I was out at Firestone with Jimmy Hanlon. He's doing his show now on our airwaves. So we added a little bit of golf. I'm a big golfer. Dave's a big golfer. So it was fun to add him to our airwaves and start getting that coverage as well. So stay tuned. Check out our app, the Big Play app. And yeah, it's just been a fun ride, gentlemen.
We've enjoyed the heck out of it. I mean, we talked to Nick Padone quite a bit, and we had the show out at the Great Lakes Collectors Convention, and you've been to the show before as well. And I mean, everything that you guys,
fantastic job with that, by the way. If anybody hasn't been out to there, it's so much fun to see not only all the collections that are out there and all the things that are available for sale, but all the media members and all the special guests that you guys bring. It's so neat to just be around that. There's a lot of people there that I don't see otherwise unless I'm there. And it's just so much fun to be around those folks and kind of meet people, and the people you hear on the radio or you may see on TV. You've got them all coming there, and that's really become a premier event up there in Northeast Ohio.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it. I remember that the first time you were there, it's kind of funny. I distinctly remember Ken Carmen. We had a little green room, and I said, "Hey, that's Reflog," and he said, "Are you holy?" Okay, because nobody had met you really at the time.
He's a real person.
And it
disappoint a lot of people, to be honest with you, Greenie, because they walk up and they expect a cigar guy, right? I'm sorry, it's just me. I'm a 45-year-old dude. I'm a dad. What do you want me to say?
Yeah.
It's just me.
Which is great, and that's what's great about really the Big Play Network is it's just regular guys and Gabby and some other women too, and it's just it's terrific. It's not people that were really brought up in the business. This is things, it's done differently, like you said, and we love watching it.
Yeah, and I appreciate you pulling it up there. You can see all the different personalities that we've got there. It's been a fun ride. People like Carlos Baerga, like Josh Cribbs, Bernie Kosar. It's amazing. These are the players that I grew up watching, right? And now to have them on our airwaves and be talking to them, it's just so much fun for me. And it's a great listen for anybody who downloads the app, checks us out. It's really some great content out there.
Chris, we had one of your co-hosts, Nick Padone, as Greenie said, we've got to know Nick, and had him on a couple months ago. And we asked him about a little bit about your process and what it's like to be around McNeil when he's creating these memes. And
you asked him that question? Wow.
We were curious. Like,
okay, sure. Yeah.
McNeil doesn't miss. And, we've long appreciated your humor. And I asked him, like, what's it like to be around it? And how does he sort of come up with this stuff? And he says you work really hard at it, and you've got stuff at the ready. I want to talk about that a little bit without giving away trade secrets, because you're always on point. And I recall a lot of things early on, but one of the things that I recall really taking off, speaking of parades, was your use of the Cavs parade photo in 2016 that has been reused to illustrate other events, be it conventions or events that have absolutely nothing to do with anybody. And these things catch fire. Maybe it was this, but talk about what was one of the first tweets or posts that you can recall where you said, man, this thing is really taken off and I've got something here?
So that would have been back right about that same time. If you remember, on United Airlines had an issue. They had an issue where they dragged an individual off of a flight. And, there was some fighting involved, and it was really an ugly scene for United. Well, one of the tweets I put out was, United is excited to announce a new class. And I had Fight Club, and I had a diagram of Fight Club there. And that thing, I'll tell you what, I thought it was the dumbest thing that I've come up with. I think it went out to 35 million impressions by the time it was done. It's one of those. I've literally got Condoleezza Rice wrote a book, and it's in that book that, like, my tweet made it in there. There's marketing courses that are taught on college campuses, and I'll get this every once in a while. There'll be students who are like, hey, look, there's a Reflog's tweet up there. They're teaching this in class as bad customer service and what can happen with customer service. I mean, it's amazing what that tweet did. And it was literally like 2 seconds. I had this stupid thought of calling it Fight Club, making that quick meme, sending it out. I was going to delete it after a minute. I was like, that's really, as my kids would say, cringe, Dad. And I was like, I'm going to take that thing down, left it up, and it just went huge. So that was really the first one. You guys hit on it there. The parade photo was great because it works on a couple of levels, right? It's a celebration of the Cavs at the heart of it, because I'm very proud of the fact that the Cavs won that championship. And as you know, we have to relish every championship we get in Cleveland. That's the only one that I've seen in my lifetime. So I'm going to take every opportunity to relish it over and over and over again. And in that context, it's become this huge political thing for everybody to talk about their crowd sizes and what they're drawing, right? And there was a lady out of Jacksonville who posited that photo as a Trump rally at one point. And so I took that and I was like, well, I'm going to continue to use that. I love that spirit. So I started putting it up for everything. And especially during COVID, when we were all supposed to distance from one another, couldn't be in big crowds. So I put that out as an Easter gathering for COVID. And that one went pretty big. And I still see it out there from time to time. And I just love it because that joke is probably never going to die, even though it's ceased being really funny a long time ago. But it's kind of fun to see these things in perpetuity that you're like, hey, I remember that from the beginning, Well,
speaking of Cavs, Rafa checking in. He said, check your bag. You're probably missing your Gap wedge and sandwich.
I am. Rafa, I tell you what, man. So we switched carts to begin the round today, right? And I left in that cart my wallet, my keys, and my phone, gentlemen, which I didn't get until like the third. Rafa had to give me those. I lost my 60-degree wedge out there. Somebody else brought it back to me. And then I left it at the course, my wedge. So I had a day. I was just out of it all day long. I was off my game. I don't know. I'm not used to the nice weather in Northeast Ohio. I think that really screwed me up. But Rafa was out there. He was looking after me. He brought everything back. Most of the cash was still in the wallet, though. I'm going to have to do a full accounting later on to make sure. But I appreciate that, Rafa.
And Rafa is a last-minute addition to the set. So Rafa will have his first card in the Muni Lot Kids.
Which I'm thrilled about. He deserves to have a card. And he needs to be early on in that set because he's one of the best. You talk about personalities in Cleveland and really guys who don't get the type of notoriety they deserve. And Rafa is that guy. I'll tell you what, if you listen to his calls, now we have great announcers. We got Tom Hamilton's in this town. We've got great ones. But if you listen to the Spanish language calls that Rafa does, they are just out of this world. They are so great. So and I gladly spread those out over Twitter. So whenever something happens in Cleveland that's big, if I get my hands on a Rafa call, I always send that one out. So be checking on that one whenever you see the next home run or big run or something else. Be watching for those.
His call of the big Christmas home run.
Yes,
last year was
Feliz Navidad.
And we all knew what he said, right? Yeah.
It's so good. A Rafa call set to Titanic music will give me chills every time.
That's right.
Very good.
We've had some magical runs though lately. That reminds me. I mean, really, the Guardians going deep last year. The Cavs now, unfortunately, didn't get it done, but we do have some good momentum in this town for some of our teams right now, and that does feel good. You know, there were some times during those playoffs last year that with the Guardians, man, just so up and down, and it was just so cool to see those moments like that one where you're just like, wow, I'm going to remember this forever. It doesn't matter. We didn't win it all. It didn't come to fruition, but you're going to remember that. Just like back in the day when I was 7 years old, I will remember Mark Gastineau hitting Bernie Kosar late, Bernie bringing us back from 10 down with 4 minutes to go. I'll never forget that again in my life. And I've been spending my whole life trying to capture that magic once again. And, you know, got a little taste of it back 2016 and a little bit along the way. And hell, maybe the Browns will do it for us someday.
You're right. We've been fortunate without having major championships, except the one to have some really good moments in Cleveland sports. I mean, the Rajay Davis home run was unbelievable. Ultimately, we know what happened, but like some of these runs have been unbelievable. But let's face it, it's still a Browns town. And as much as that championship parade was the greatest thing I have ever seen, we need the football team to win. And that's really what Cleveland needs, is this football team to somehow figure it out.
Right. But the football team right now is very focused on moving to Brook Park, I think, more than anything else. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Cleveland Browns. I don't think we're going to be very good next year. I think Las Vegas has got us at 5 wins, and right now we've got 5 quarterbacks. And what do they say? If you have 2 quarterbacks, you really have 0. So what happens when you have 5? Right?
5, you have none.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's going to be another interesting season, like they all are for the Cleveland Browns. But you always hold out hope that, hey, maybe, you know, we watch them in OTAs. And I love the fact that we're keeping track of OTA reps right now.
That's right.
That's amazing. That's another Cleveland thing. It's just so perfect for this town to be tracking such a meaningless thing right now when guys are just trying to figure things out. Right. But nonetheless, that's what gives you hope. You say, Shedur's looking good right now. Yeah, let's go.
No, the only thing that gives us hope is the Jaguars not winning a game and we can draft number 1.
And that's ultimately, Greenie, what we really should care about, right? We should all just fade the Jaguars. Who cares what the Browns do? Just fade the Jaguars.
Right. Yeah. So that's the Cleveland focus really is football. We are a Browns town. We had 1 million plus come to a Cavs parade. What happens if the Browns win?
Oh my God. Shut down.
Does the parade get down to Mansfield?
All of Northeast Ohio. Yeah. The parade is going to be on 71. It's just going to be going from Columbus up to Cleveland. Because
you'll have to update this card.
Anything south of Columbus is really Kentucky anyway. So it's just going to go right from Columbus all the way up to Cleveland. It's going to be, shut down all of Northeast Ohio for at least a month. I mean, it's going to be insane when that happens. And I hope I'm around for it, gentlemen. I'll tell you what, because right now we're not looking great, but man, just to recapture that magic, because you guys know, you've been, when we have won, the spirit, just how everybody, you're hugging people you otherwise would be hugging. It doesn't matter what your politics are. It doesn't matter what you think about somebody else. It doesn't matter. Nothing else matters in that moment. You love everybody there because everybody's on the same page, and Cleveland is winning. And that is the spirit, gentlemen, that, man, we could get that with the Cleveland Browns. That'd be unbelievable.
I'd love a statue of Derek Anderson.
Well, there you go. Chris, we can't thank you enough
10 and 6
for joining us this evening.
Yep.
And taking some valuable time spending it with us. And just reminding people again, check out those Muni Lot Kids cards on greeniecards.com. Buy the set, support the Greater Cleveland Food Bank. Chris, we couldn't be prouder to be associated with you on this. And just, if nothing else, you make me laugh every day. And I appreciate that.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate everything.
Yeah, Chris, thank you very much. We look forward to way more in the future.
Sounds good.
All right, Greenie, there you go. Our thanks to Chris McNeil, a.k.a. Reflog_18. Make sure you check out the Big Play Network and all the shows they have on there. Thank you to Rafa for checking in. this evening. Thanks to Haley on the board. Thank you to Joe W. for his participation with Hobby News. Thank you to all of you for tuning in. You want to check back in at 9 p.m. for the live auction with Alex on eBay Live. We're here, Greenie and I, every Tuesday at 7 p.m. for Greenie Sports Cards Live, presented by Collectibles on SI in partnership with Sports Cards Nonsense. Greenie, as always, may the cards forever be in your favor.
And this week, the Muni Lot cards are. So that was awesome. Thanks to everybody that joined us tonight, Jeremy, and have a good night, everybody.